Hello, YouTube. I'm just going to set up on Facebook. Okay. Just waiting for people to turn up. So I've just been on the go all day. Feels good to sit and relax. Waiting for people to turn up. 2 o'clock on Mother's Day. I'm assuming it's going to be a pretty slow live. Looks like it is going to be a pretty slow live. Because it's Mother's Day. I've got an hour right now to myself, so that's why I'm taking advantage of it and doing a live. Hello. Oh, I got a mother on Mother's Day. Might not be Mother's Day where you are. If you're in Australia, it would be Monday. But then if you're in Australia, oh yeah, you could be up. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, but it might be different over there. I remember my kids grew up in Australia, and Mother's Day and Father's Day are very close here in North America, but in Australia, they're like months apart. So anyway, okay. So I'm just waiting for people to turn up. Wixie. Is that your real name? Wixie. Would that be short for something? Wixie. Never heard that name before. Effie. I've heard of Effie before. That could be rude too. I've heard of something used in something rude too. Someone put a name together and I read it out loud, and it was Effie was in there, but it was yeah, a little bit different. Okay. By the way, I read it out loud because I'm stupid, not because I got it. That's your real name, Wixie. That's cute. I like that, Wixie. I'm gonna write that down. That's really cute. Wixie. Okay. Okay, happy Mother's Day, everybody. I know it's going to be a really slow live today because everyone's celebrating Mother's Day. It's an older name. Really? Oh, I thought that would be like a trendy new name. I guess everything goes around, comes around, right? So anyway, happy Mother's Day. I've got an hour to myself right now. I'm going up for dinner. I was with my daughter all day, and then my daughter and I are driving up to see my son, and we're all going out for dinner tonight. So very good day. And anyway, so I hope you're all having a wonderful Mother's Day. And although, yeah, I don't know your situations. There might be some dads on here, or might be grandparents, or just people turning up. So anyway, thanks for turning up. Who is here? I just want to mention today's the last day for my sale on my courses, not on coaching, just on my courses. It's a Mother's Day sale. So it ends tonight, Vancouver time. It's all linked above. Happy Mother's Day. Really appreciate your videos. Very helpful to both my husband and myself. Excellent. You're very welcome. I love my job and I love what I do. It is a job. It's a passion and a job. I love what I do. And I was telling that to one of my coaching clients, and they said, yeah, we figured that out. I really do. Especially in coaching, I get really excited. So, but yeah, feel very lucky. But you know, I put in 50 years of volunteering with kids to figure all this out. So, I was going to tell you what I did with this Diet Coke. Anyone who's a regular knows I drink Diet Coke. It's my poison, but makes me all bloated. So someone said use one of those frothers, and it gets rid of all the bubbles. I just tried it, and it does. It gets rid of all the bubbles. It's not as enjoyable to drink, but it doesn't upset my stomach. Hopefully. Anyway, so I'm just waiting for your parenting questions now. You can go on the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. My Mother's Day sale is running right now. It ends tonight. So it's 10% off, just my courses, not my coaching. So anyway, so I'm just waiting for your parenting questions now. It is Mother's Day. I've got a break right now between just go all day. And then tonight we're going out for dinner. So I'm very excited about that. My daughter and I started the day with the gym. We both go to the same gym. I love work. We both love being fit in that. So anyway, just waiting for parenting questions. Oh, I could just talk. Okay. I'm going to read out just while I'm waiting for questions. So I'm going to have to finish this before I look at the screen again. This is my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is you childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler. To me, a toddler is under the age of 3. You enter their world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They do start to look at you differently when you enter their world. Watch how they play and join in. Number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler. It's sort of the same thing. You enter their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. You know, all these mini therapy sessions discussing all the big feelings and big emotions, that was invented to make the mom feel good about herself. It has nothing to do with the toddler. It means nothing to them. They're about consistent corrective actions. Okay, number 5 with toddlers is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there, okay? They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. They're going to do crazy stuff. That's normal. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. To a toddler, that might make sense. Actually, I don't think they're trying to make sense. I think they're just doing what they're doing. Okay, someone asked here, this is Kristen, what to do when child goes and tells your dad stuff that goes on over here? We are separated. Well, I don't know the age. And plus, that's going to happen. Like, there's not much you can do about that. How do you deal with a teenager that has started to experiment with drugs? That's a big question for not much information. That's coaching. You'd have to hire me for coaching for that. I'd have to assess your parenting style, who they're hanging out with, how old they are. Yeah, I'd have to assess that whole situation. There's not a quick answer for that because you can't just discipline a teenager. You have to connect with them first, but I have to figure out what's going on before we even figure out how to proceed. I always say the first 2 weeks if you have a teenager, the first 2 weeks are quite frustrating for you. It's more about me, trial and error. We're going to try stuff out and see what works. Then by week 3, 4, and 5, I can really get into it more because I'm starting to understand what's going on. I have to figure stuff out. It's more complicated. Should I give her a chore or nothing? Kristen. I forgot what you asked. Child goes and tells her dad stuff that goes over. We are separated. Do I give her a chore? You mean as a punishment? How is that naughty? So in other words, keep secrets? Secrets imply shame. Yeah, I wouldn't ask a kid to keep secrets. Although I'll tell you a funny story. My daughter would have been about 3. And I was just saying, oh, thank God, I've got nothing to do all weekend or all Saturday or something. I was so excited. I didn't have anything to do. I was just looking forward to relaxing and all that. So we were talking to this mother, and this was not a mother that I particularly wanted to socialize with. And she said, hey, what are you guys doing tomorrow? And I said, actually, I'm really busy. And my daughter says, no, you're not, Mommy. Remember you just said that you have nothing to do all day tomorrow? She was so proud of herself. The way I looked at her, she just looked horrified when I looked at her like, what are you doing? It was so awkward. I said, that's right. I forgot I have got nothing. And I had to spend time with that mom. Anyway, yeah, she had a big mouth. So you can keep some secrets like that. But anyway, yeah, you don't punish a child for telling what's going on at other house. That implies that there's shame and everything involved there. Yeah. I love the idea of the behavior board, but I am scared that it will make them resent chores and associate it with negativity. Is that a big deal? Do you really care? You want them to have a party every time they do chores? Chores are considered negative. That's why they're called chores. You're not supposed to try and make them fun. You're supposed to teach them you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. You don't want to try and make everything fun for your children. That's the please your parent style. And I think that's a total disaster. You want to make everything pleasant and fun for your children. You're not preparing them for life. Chores are not supposed to be fun. That's why they're called chores. Look it up in the dictionary. I hope I'm right about that. But anyway, I don't think chores are supposed to be fun. Why do you want to make everything fun for your children? You're not preparing them for life. The reality is a lot of stuff that we have to do is not fun. The earlier they learn that, the better. Whew, I went on a rant with that one, didn't I? Okay, this is from Paloma on YouTube. My almost 5-year-old can't regulate his emotions. What can I do to help? That's about you. If you're a leader for your child, their emotions do tend to be more regulated. It tends to calm them down. Check out my boot camp course. That might be a good fit. All my courses, it ends tonight, but I have a sale on all my courses. It's a Mother's Day sale. So you can check that out, and that might be a good fit for you. You set yourself up as a leader, and it just makes them feel safe and calm. You don't try and regulate emotions. You regulate yourself, and that will pass on to your children. She's 12. Oh, she's 12 years old. I don't know what's going on there, Kristen. You're sort of asking me stuff that it sort of sounds like a bit of drama, and I don't know the history of that. So, yeah. Like, I don't remember telling my kids and I, we were divorced, and I don't remember telling my kids not to tell stuff, So, yeah. Happy Mother's Day. You too, Kelly. We have implemented your system and it's working well. My question is, how do you manage an 8-year-old girl in the moment if she is throwing or running away or hitting or kicking things when dysregulated? Okay, so you would have done the boot camp course, I'm assuming, because you asked about in the moment. Week 4 in the boot camp course is in the moment discipline. That's when you pull away from the behavior board. So you just let them have their scene. But if they're getting physical, you physically restrain them. If they're hurting themselves, someone else, or damaging property, you physically hold them to say no. You don't get violent. You just sort of wait it out and then let them go after a minute or two. If they do it again, then you physically restrain them again. The fact that she's still doing that, she's 8. Throwing or running away or hitting or kicking things when dysregulated. I don't understand what you mean by when dysregulated. I don't know. A lot of kids, they act out when they feel that there's injustices. Most children understand justice. When you're fair and just and reasonable, they don't tend to act out. They just get it. A good example of this is when I'm coaching, one-on-one coaching with people, and their kids will often say, "Can you ask Lisa if she thinks this is fair?" They start to understand that I'm all about being fair and reasonable. That's why when I'm teaching the parents, they pick up on the fact they start to feel respected. When they feel respected and heard, they tend to be more regulated. There's no need to be dysregulated because there's consistency. So yeah, a lot of kids I notice, especially teenagers, "Can you check with Lisa and see if she thinks that's fair?" So they get that everything I'm doing is all about being just and fair and reasonable. My son was 15 and he said to me, he was kind of mad when he said this. He says, "You've been a really difficult mother." And I was like, "I thought I was great." And I said, "What?" Because we got along great and everything. And he says, "Yeah," he says, "I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. I didn't know whether to celebrate or apologize. I think I just said, 'Oh, sorry about that.' And then I walked away and celebrated." So I did both. But yeah, if a leader, they tend to get regulated. So work on, if you just did the course, go through the whole course again and reassess what you might be missing or not doing quite as well as you should. You got to be really consistent. Injustices really set people off, kids and adults. It would be like if you're in a lineup at a bank and someone jumped in front of you, wouldn't you be mad? It's like that. It's an injustice. Adults do it, but they tend to be sneakier about it, whereas kids, parents are often not fair and just with their children, and they just don't get that their kids are upset. Anyway, check out I think you've already done the boot camp course. All my courses, the sale ends tonight, 10% off the courses, not coaching though. Happy Mother's Day, Lisa, and all the mums out there. Yeah, I'm a grandmother and a mum. I won't be seeing my granddaughter today, I don't think. I'm not sure if they're going to be turning up for dinner. I didn't clarify that because I didn't organize it. But yeah, I saw my daughter all day and then we're all going out for dinner tonight. Yeah, I love Mother's Day. Oh, you asked about grandchildren. I don't give grandparenting advice. I'm very strict about that. Because if I tell you something, then the parents don't like it, you see? Because I don't micromanage other people. Like I don't tell people how to manage other people's parenting. My son is he's 10 years old. Thank you for putting the age in there. Is having anxiety and depression, causing him to lash out with breaking things and hitting himself. Now he's escalated to hitting my husband. I told him, "Well, you've gone on about, you've missed the whole point here with me. Why is he depressed? You can't, his actions are a direct result of his depression, I'm assuming. Why is he depressed? I would have to figure that out. You can't, that's the cause of it. So you go to the cause, not always, but if he's depressed, I would figure that out. You check out the boot camp course if you want, but that might be coaching. If you got a 10-year-old is he truly depressed? Yeah, that would be coaching. I'd want to figure out what's going on. So you don't just discipline a kid who's depressed. You got to figure out what's going on. You always meet their needs and manage their wants. Managing their wants is the discipline, but if you're not meeting their needs, maybe he needs some extra help along the way. I don't know what's going on there. So that would be coaching. That's a big question. Yeah, how he's acting doesn't mean anything to me. You said he's depressed. I'd want to know why. Yeah. Oops, I'm going to skip ahead just to make sure people are here when I'm answering. Okay, I have a 14-month-old and a 25-month-old. Obviously, well, one's a baby and one's a toddler. Obviously, there are times that they want the same thing, like a toy, for example. I'm trying to hit see more. It just won't do. How do I manage this fairly? Okay, for one thing, they're not going to really understand that. So what I would do is if they both want the same thing, I would play with it and I'd sort of let them join in with me. I'd say, here you go, you can play with this, or you can each have that. It's not going to work though. What I mean by that is they're just going to have to learn that they can't always have the same thing. It's a slow burn thing. There's not an overnight thing for that one. Just say if they keep fighting over it, just put it away. Whatever they continuously fight over, put it away. Just don't even let them see it. But yeah, I would sort of take it and play with it a little bit, and then they can each sort of play with you, and then maybe they'll get distracted and go and get something else. But yeah, that's a tough one. You got a baby and a young toddler. Yeah, no easy answer for that one. 3-year-old waking up in the middle of the night, wanting to sleep with mom and dad. That's the bedtime battles course. It's a whole system. It's in 2 parts, how to get them to bed, but that's not your problem. That's the easy part, by the way. It's how to keep them there. There's a whole system and how you do it. So check out my bedtime battles course. All my courses are 10% off, ending tonight, Mother's Day. So you might want to check that out. Sorry. The computer just did something weird. Oops, I keep losing I have a couple screens here, and one of my screens keeps going out. Another thing, I don't have a problem with co-sleeping. It's when you want to stop co-sleeping, and that's when it gets difficult. So if you want to stop co-sleeping, you can't let them sleep in bed with you sometimes. You can't let them come in the middle of the night and sleep with you, because that's still sometimes. You have to be consistent. No, you sleep in your big bed, and that's it. And you have to be consistent with it. A lot of parents, they say, yeah, but I want the exceptions. They don't understand exceptions till they're probably 3 to 5 years old. That's when they can understand exceptions. So yeah, most of the time we do this, but sometimes we do that. But under that age, how old? 3 years old? Yeah, it's kind of really young to understand exceptions. But yeah, you let them sleep in your bed one night, and then they're going to want to sleep in there every night. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in this one question from Melanie. Your daughter is a micro preemie who is now 4 years old, and yeah, she runs the house. A lot of parents who've had preemie babies or ill babies or anything where they're very fragile, they tend to overcompensate for that and give them whatever they want, which I understand. So now, it's not really fair to do that to them because they're not happy when they're acting out. So you really want to get your own leadership set in place. She's 4 years old. She can understand dad's house is different from mom's house. They can understand that at about 3. They can understand they're quite different. If she can be spoiled, I think you said she's spoiled at dad's house. And you also said she has autism. I don't really discuss autism on here, but I'm just focusing on different houses, different homes. So she's 4 years old. She can certainly understand the fact that you are the leader and dad maybe is more the pleaser, and that's okay. But just follow through with everything I talk about with leadership, and don't worry about what happens at the other house. There's nothing you can do. She will quickly settle into your way. Once you get good at it, she'll settle in. Oh, I'm back at the leader's house again. She'll just calm right down. That's sort of how it goes. Check out the boot camp course. That might be a good fit for you. All my courses are 10% off. It ends tonight. It's just a Mother's Day special. Did you miss my comment? Probably. I missed tons of them. So yeah, I just answer when I see. Can you apply a consequence later if you're not able to apply it right away? Depends on the age. Okay, if they're under the age of 3, no, because they're right in the moment. If they're 3 and over, they can be on the behavior board. The behavior board means that they can stop and think before they act. They also can comprehend, hey, look, you did that this morning. We don't have time right now, but later on, you're going to do a chore. So after school, you're going to do a chore, okay? We'll discuss it later. So it's called deferred punishment, but you address it in the moment. So you say, yeah, okay, you broke the rule. After school, you'll do the consequence, okay? Under the age of 3, you can't do that. Toddlers are right in the moment. And don't discuss all this stuff. Too many parents over-explain. The more you explain, the more they complain. Explaining they already understand it. You know, parents always tell me in coaching how brilliant their child is in the first session. Then every other session, they're trying to make excuses why they can't understand things. Like it's like they were brilliant, they were gifted in session 1, sessions 2 through 5. They're morons. Like they're always trying to make excuses for them. They understand this stuff. I don't repeat myself. If they do say, "I forgot, I didn't," well, you'll know next time, won't you? That's how I deal with it. Like they'll learn, right? So yeah, don't over explain everything. Do you remind your kids to do their chores? No, I never told kids what to do. I let them do whatever they wanted to do. But if they made a poor choice, then I came in with a consequence. Oh, you chose not to do your chores. You're going to do twice as many tomorrow, or media blackout. Your choice. So I never try to stop. I never try and tell kids what to do. I just never did. My son used to say, he was a teenager. He came up with a lot of funny stuff. He says, "I don't even remember you telling us what to do." Like he said that, and I said, "Yeah, I never did. I just made sure if you made a poor choice, there was a consequence. Therefore, I never had to micromanage them. They were self-disciplining. They knew if they didn't do the right thing, then mom would come in with a consequence. No anger. Just say, oh, you forgot to do that. How about you do it twice tomorrow or whatever." So yeah, they learn. Yeah. So I never micromanage. I didn't want to be a nag. I don't repeat myself. My son, 9 years old, has been playing baseball for a few seasons. I'm going to a game today, actually. Now has liked it overall, but now is fearful of being hit by the ball. Many kids go through this. Should we take breaks? Okay, I don't know how to answer that because I have a fear of getting hit by a ball. I've never been hit in the head or hit hard, but I've been hit, and it is very painful. My daughter, she used to play a lot of softball. She still plays. And a ball went past her. She was playing with college kids in this one game, and she was only in high school. And she was playing, I think, left field. I can't remember what she was playing. Anyway, no, third base, I think. And she was standing back because it was a heavy hitter coming up. And this ball flew past her. It just grazed the side of her hair. And now if that had hit her in the head, she probably would have killed her. It was that hard. They didn't wear, I think they wore helmets, but still it would have. Can't remember. No, I don't think they wore a helmet. Anyway, so yeah, I completely understand that. And I have no good answer for that. No good answer at all. Maybe just wear a helmet with a face guard. But totally valid fear. Totally valid. Does this work with autistic children? It's a good question, but I can't answer that because sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Autism or kids on the spectrum, ASD, that is something that I really only discuss in coaching. That's one-on-one coaching. But lots of people who have autistic children use my methods and say it works. So, just depends. They're all different. They all tend to have, we're all like this though. We all have our own little quirks, right? So you have to figure out and I always say it's kind of like throwing mud at the wall with autistic children. You throw mud at the wall and see what sticks. So it's trial and error. That's in coaching. But yeah, you could try it. The course might be a good fit. A lot of people with autistic children have gone through the boot camp course and said it's worked. So just depends where on the spectrum they are or how perceptive or how accepted they are of this. Accepting. Anyway, all the courses are 10% off. It ends tonight if you're interested. Not coaching, just the courses is on sale. Did a behavior board today. Good for you. Excellent. Courtney Cox. My kids are beginning to not take no as an option. And I don't know. Well, you didn't tell me the age. I need to know the age. Are they 1 or 10 or... does your behavior board work with a child with autism? Yeah, someone just answered. I just answered that. Okay, that's why I'm skipping ahead because I want to make sure that how much is coaching. Just look it up. It's on everything's in the link above. And be careful with that. If you're going to look something up, if you want to look up my company or whatever, just go to the link because a lot of people are pretending to be me. I've got a big following now. And people are scamming people out of money, pretending to be me. They're using my videos, my picture, my information, all my stuff, and they're stealing money off people. And then they don't deliver the goods, right? So it's frustrating, but nothing I can do about that. I can't go flying over to Africa where evidently most of this happens. What do we do when kids constantly make messes and not clean up? They won't admit they did it either, so won't have to clean. Kids 7 to 12 years old. So they're always making messes. There's a lot of different things you can do. You can just put down on there, if no one's owning up to it, they won't admit they did it either, so they won't have to clean up. Okay, you got to get systems in place. How many kids do you have? 7 to 12. That could be 3 or 4, but you would put 7 and 12 if you just had 2. Anyway, I would just say, look, you each have your own specific toys or activities. That could be part of it. Do a toy rotation system so they don't have everything out at once, so there's not too much stuff to make a mess over. Or you could have everyone pick up 10 toys at the end of each day. That is their chore. Pick up 10 toys at the end of each day within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. So you could have systems in place and just say, you don't have to do anything I tell you to do, but just there'll be a consequence if you don't. Check out the behavior board. It explains all that. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to deal with that one. Okay, how do I stop my 9-year-old calling my 7-year-old names? Put down on the behavior board, that's free up above, by the way. Put down no name calling. When they call a name, the 7-year-old gets to play with the older one's favorite toy or activity for half an hour. Okay, so yeah, check that out. The behavior board is completely free. Okay. I started my business 17 years ago, and I didn't have a behavior board because I've never used one. I would never use a behavior board. It's a teaching tool. Like, I don't want kids looking at a board. I want them looking at me. So, but it's a wonderful tool to sort of take some of the pressure off you, and it's very visual. It's a visual reminder that things are changing. And it also gets you to focus just on one rule, because you can't address everything when you first start all this. You have to just pick one rule per week. Anyway, the first year I was coaching, people weren't getting the results I thought they should. They were still learning and they were getting some results, but I thought, why is this not working? And then I invented the behavior board and put the parents on it. Changed everything. I haven't changed that behavior board in 16 years. Okay, my son is, my daughter's 12, my son is 8. They hate each other basically. Okay, so what you do is you don't do one-on-one. You got 4 years apart, a boy and a girl. A girl's older. Okay, she's gonna be a lot more mature usually than the boy. Okay, so what you do is you do activities with them, like together, do as much as you can. It could just be like games like Pictionary, nothing really highly competitive, but just fun games. So try and do stuff with them. You can even just play like computer or video games with them, and make sure you play to the weakest link. You play to the younger one usually because they can keep up. So just do more with them as a group, and they learn how to play together. My kids bonded. They were 5 years apart, boy older, girl younger. And they didn't not get along, but they didn't bond a lot because they didn't have a lot in common. But how they bonded was laughing at me. We did a lot of stuff, goofy stuff together. And they bonded over laughing at silly mom. So yeah, just play more with them. Also, if one is really bad to the other one, you put down no name calling, no hitting. You can't say no being mean. You can't say no being mean because that's subjective. What is mean? An eye roll? I mean, you can't put attitude on there. And kind of by saying don't be mean, that sort of attitude, and all day long you'd be addressing stuff probably, right? So yeah, it's too broad, it's too general. You can't address everything in the mean department. But in coaching, sometimes I will be more like that, and I will put stuff like that. But there's more to it. Like there's a lot to it. My 17-year-old leaves a mess every room she walks in, like a tornado goes through the house. And I'll say, clean it, and says, I'll clean it later, never does. All you have to do is say, clean up after yourself before you leave a room. If you don't, there's a consequence. Or clean up your mess within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. If not, there's a consequence, okay? So that's it. You just let her leave the mess, and if she does, then there's a consequence. She'll eventually learn. But yeah, also make sure when you ask her to clean up the mess that she's kind of available. Don't ask her to clean up a mess if she's running out of the house to meet friends. So be fair and reasonable about it. Say, hey, now's a good time. 15 minutes starts now. I want you to clean up the mess that you left behind the family room. Stuff like that. Yeah. We all learn through consequences. A lot of parents just nag, 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 nag. I never did that. I never said anything like that. They just knew that if they left a mess, then there'd be a consequence. That's it. So yeah, but a lot of parents want to nag, and they can't figure out why they're not doing it because there's no consequence attached. Let's say the police never gave you a ticket for speeding. They just said, okay, don't speed, don't speed. I'd probably zoom right past them if I knew I was never going to get a ticket. So, we're all led by consequences. That's our conscience, is consequences. It teaches us to look after ourselves. Plus, she might just turn into a real slob when she's an adult too. That's okay. But in your house, she's got to learn how to clean up after herself. I used to say to my kids, I love cleaning, by the way. So I know I'm weird that way, but anyway, I used to say to my kids, I'll never ask you to do any deep cleaning. Like I never wanted anyone else to clean the floors, mop. I vacuum and mop every day, and I never wanted anyone to touch that stuff. But I wanted them to clean up after themselves. But I said to them, if you leave anything, never expect me to pick up something and clean under it, or you'll be cleaning the whole room. So they never left anything out. They thought if they leave something out, they're going to be cleaning. But yeah, I just said, I love cleaning. I'll do all the cleaning. Just don't, if I ever have to pick anything up of yours and clean under it, you'll be cleaning. Funny how well that worked. And I just follow through with it. You got to follow through too. How do I get my son 9 to listen? The first time I ask him to do something, it takes 5 or 6 times. That's because you're not a leader. He doesn't respect you. You're not fixing him. You got to fix yourself. You got to teach yourself how to be a leader. And I would never repeat myself. So yeah, set yourself up as a leader, and that just doesn't happen. It's a tell. It means you haven't earned his respect. You got to work for that. He doesn't respect you. That's all it means. Check out my boot camp course. There's a sale on courses right now. Check it out. It's all in the link above. And yeah. Since 2 weeks, and I'm getting many videos from different hosts. They both use your pictures. Yeah, a lot of people are using my identity and all my videos. But this is my channel, Bratbusters Parenting. And if anyone, and you can't stop that stuff. People are going to try and imitate you once they see I've got a following. Yeah, just happens. Nothing I can do about it. But if you're going to buy anything, or you want to get my behavior board, it's the link above. Just make sure it's the link in all my social media ones. That will be me. But yeah, lots of people are out there pretending to be me. That's fine. That's a compliment actually, but they're scammers, and I can't go chasing scammers. It's not my job. So it's no one's job. You just have to understand that if you're seeing that, you just follow my links. And the problem is that people who've never seen me before don't understand that they're scammers. It's just part of being online, right? It's just the culture. Anyway, I got to go now. I'm going to move over to Instagram now if you want to join me over there. If not, check out my link above. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. I've got mini toddler ones, my big boot camp course. There's a Mother's Day sale going right now. It ends tonight. And you can look into coaching. I can't take everyone on with coaching because my schedule's pretty packed, but you can look into it. If you really want to move forward with coaching, send me an email, tell me the ages of your kids and what challenges you're facing. And that will help me decide whether or not I can take you on. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Happy Mother's Day. And I'm going over to Instagram now. Bye now. Okay, YouTube. Someone asked, do you have any tips for smooth toothbrushing? I don't even know what that is. Okay. Hi, Lisa. 22-year-old son lives at home and has his own money. Trying to get him on a diet. Can we I can't. No, I can't answer that. He's an adult. So, yeah, I can't answer that. Just about to be 3, lost her granddad 3 days ago, and she has seen us cry, and we told her he's in heaven. Any advice? Nope. Grief is just hell, and I never try and soften it. I just say, yeah, it's really sad when you lose someone you love. You can talk about the afterlife and that, but the fact is they're not going to see them. You can even talk about but every single day, they're not going to see that grandparent in their lifetime anyway. So yeah, it's just sad. You can't fix that, by the way. Can't fix everything for your kids. You just have to, like I went through a lot of grief when I was young and my dad died and everything. It was horrible. All my grandparents and my dad, and it was just, grief is horrific. Can't get over it. Like, what I mean is you can't fix it. Okay, so, okay, I'm on Instagram now. That was answering YouTube. Anyway, hi, happy Mother's Day. I've got some time in between activities today with my kids. So I wanted to do a live for Mother's Day. And I've got my sale running right now if you want to check that out. It's just on the courses, not my coaching, but it's 10% off. It ends tonight. So, and anyway, so check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. So, and I can't take everyone on with coaching right now. You'll see. Anyway, it's just, I'm really busy these days. Getting a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old to do chores at the same time. You got a 1-year-old doing chores? I don't even know how to answer that one. I don't know what you mean by that. Happy Mother's Day. What are your tips for sleep anxiety? I don't know what you mean by sleep anxiety. I do have a bedtime battles course. It's how to get them in bed and how to keep them there. There's a lot of screaming and crying, mostly from you. Yeah, it's a rough night. But yeah, check it out. Check it out. Bedtime battles course. That might be a good fit for you. And I've got my courses on sale right now for Mother's Day. Eating vegetables help. I can't talk about nutrition because I'm not a nutritionist, so I'm not qualified to talk about it. But I will tell you what I did with my own kids. I'm a bit of a health food nut, and we didn't have any junk food in the house at all. So they knew if they didn't eat their broccoli, there was no ice cream in the freezer waiting for them. So they may as well eat what was put in front of them. But they didn't like everything. So I got real sneaky. I got really good at pureeing healthy stuff and throwing it into all my sauces, all my breads, whatever I was making. It had healthy stuff thrown in. My muffins were not like normal muffins or cupcakes or cakes or cookies. They were all full of healthy stuff. So I snuck healthy stuff in. And it starts to change their taste buds. Plus, my kids weren't used to sugar and garbage and preservatives because we didn't eat like that. It was all made from scratch. So their taste buds were a bit more healthy anyway, which makes a difference. If you're giving your kids snacks, all the salt and sugar and preservatives and all that, from my understanding, it does affect their taste buds. They will crave that stuff more. So yeah, that's just what I did with my kids anyway. You don't even want to know how I eat now. It's radical. Everyone goes, really? Is that how you eat? Yeah, I eat weird. 7-year-old slams door and trashes her room after I say no. Check out my boot camp course. That's a sign that they don't respect you. If you were a leader, they would be embarrassed to do that, right? So work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids. We're teaching parents here. Their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 years old is 100% a direct result of your parenting. That's a sign. It means they don't respect you. It means you're not a leader. So work on your leadership skills. Check out my boot camp course. The sale ends tonight on that, by the way. Happy Mother's Day to you too. I'm having a great day. I didn't get a great sleep last night, so I'm kind of sleepy, but I can't stop now. I've got stuff going on all afternoon. This is my break in between things. So, but yeah, I didn't get a great sleep. You ever do that? You wake up and you think, oh no, I got all this stuff I got to do tomorrow. You're like, how am I going to manage? And plus I start with a workout every morning. So I'm always tired after that anyway. I don't learn. What's the best age gap between kids? There is nobody knows that. I was planning on 2 years, but I had back surgery and a miscarriage. I miscarried multiples and between my 2 kids. So I ended up with 5 years. And you know what was good about that? Was that I didn't even think about this, but my son started grade 1 and then I had my newborn. So I had 5 years with my son, and then I had all that extra time with my daughter. So I was never really, it was never stressful because I didn't have 2 little ones running around ever. And my son was a great help. So he was helping me out with her and he'd go get diapers or whatever I needed. He was great. 5-year-old doing damage on purpose, doesn't care about consequences. Any suggestions? There again, it means you're not a leader. It's a tell. It means he doesn't respect you. He would be embarrassed to do that. If he looked up to you like a mentor, like a leader, which is what I teach, he wouldn't do that. He'd be too embarrassed. So work on your leadership skills. And that just doesn't happen. It just doesn't. It all starts with you. Parents always want me to help fix their kids. And I say, I don't do that. I'm going to fix you. I'm going to teach you how to be a leader. Calm down and you get consistency and you kind of know what to do. You know how to set up rules and consequences and follow through. And I always say you stay calm during the storms and you can be crazy during the rainbows. What I mean by that is you stay calm when you're disciplining. There's no anger or anything, no yelling or anything. So you're like, I was never yelled at. I never yelled. So you stay calm during the storms when you're disciplining or when they are acting out. And then when everything's happy, then you can be crazy and fun and goofy and all that. But yeah, it's a tell. It means they don't respect you. Work on your leadership and they will respect you, and they just don't act like that. Check out my boot camp course. The sale ends tonight on that, the Mother's Day sale. How to stop my 2-year-old from screaming. If anyone other than me does bedtime routine, let them scream it out with someone else. Like, let's say I was let's say they wanted my husband to put them to bed, okay? And they said, I want dad. I would have said, well, you're stuck with me. And I just would have put them to bed. They would have gone, oops, never mind. Like right away, they would have picked up because when I said something, it happened. Like it's manipulation. That's all it is. They don't really care who puts them to bed. They just want to control. They're just testing you. So yeah, you gotta go through the storms there. Everyone wants the rainbow. How do we get to that rainbow? You gotta go through the storms. You gotta be willing to let them kick up a storm. Let them have their fit, scene, meltdown, and tantrum. If you try and stop those things, they're not going to learn anything. Those are the lessons. The lessons are your calmness during those tantrums. Your calmness is the lesson. They will eventually learn, well, this isn't working, and they'll just stop doing it. Kids lean into what works and they lean away from what doesn't. If you're giving any attention to all those scenes, it's working. That you're like feeding it, you're fertilizing it. Any attention for all those fit scenes, tantrums, and meltdowns, that is, any attention is food. You're feeding it. So I just go, oh, you're stuck with me. Too bad. Oh, well, scream away. Who cares? Hi, New Zealand. We lived in Australia for 20 years, and we used to fly down to Queenstown to ski. That's where we took the kids skiing. Gorgeous, gorgeous down there. We were there during 9/11. And I thought, ooh, are we even going to get home? Oh, that wasn't that something, eh? Anyway. Well, you're probably that age. You were probably the kids my kids' age when that happened. Now, here again, I don't even know how to tell you why I can't answer this. I'm going to read it out, though. How to get my 3-year-old to sit down to listen to story time at Sunday school. Is it boring? Like, do they enjoy it? To expect a 3-year-old to sit and listen at Sunday school, maybe they've gone to preschool all week and then you go to Sunday school on the weekend and they expect to sit again. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I know what I'm thinking, but I don't really want to say it. Like, sometimes parents just expect too much. Yeah. I don't know. Run them around at the park first, get some of the energy out first, and then maybe they'll sit better. But yeah, a lot of parents expect too much. Are both parents to be the leader you often mention? Absolutely not. There's usually one leader and one pleaser, or at least a stronger leader. You can both be leaders, but there's always a stronger one, right? And I'll tell you how that works and why it works well. Is the pleaser parent has to defer to the leader. Like I was very much the leader. My mom was the leader. I'll give you a good example of this. My dad used to let me get away with everything. He was very much the pleaser. And whenever I said, sure, sweetie pie, you can have, and I never felt good about myself when he did that because I had a conscience from a very young age. And I thought, Dad, you shouldn't be letting me do that, but he just sort of gave in to everything. I guess mom had set him straight. So he started doing this. I'd say, Daddy, can I please have that? And expecting to get it. And he goes, sure, sweetie pie, let's just check with mom first. And I go, oh, never mind. So we finally learned to defer to mom, who was the leader. My mom would have said, you can't let her have that, Phil. Like, so, and I'd just be like this, like she was right. So with my kids, I was the leader. And when they're little, they will push the pleaser more. But once they get past the age of about 3.5, especially, they have that leadership umbrella everywhere they go. So they sort of become nice and easy with everybody. But before that, they will push around the pleaser more. So here's how you do that. You say to the pleaser, just defer to the leader. And I used to say to my husband, I said, if they're acting out and trying to push you around, just say this. If I was around, they wouldn't have done it. But if I wasn't around, they would have pushed him around a little bit more. They would have tried it out when they were little. And I said, just say this. Do you want me to tell mom? That's all it took. They'd go, no, never mind. So yeah, you only need one leader. You can keep them in line from a distance, so long as that other parent says, do you want me to tell mom or do you want me to tell dad? It's sort of, well, I loved it. So I didn't want him messing them up. So I would rather have him always deferred to me. I always used to say, don't even try and discipline them. Let me do it. I didn't want him messing them up. So, because it came easily to me. I knew how to do it. And I never really did anything. I know my son used to say when he was a teenager, you never even did anything. Like, it was just the look. I'd just go, are you kidding me with this? Like, if they ever acted out, really? My mother did this. Like, if I was doing something she didn't like, I wouldn't even look at her. But if I did, I couldn't help it. I'd always have to look over and she'd be. So yeah, the leader doesn't have to do anything. It's a respect thing. They look up to you like you're like a mentor. Also, the leader is the one they tend to tell everything to, right through the teen years. So when parents hear that, they usually fight over the leadership role. So yeah, the leader is the one they will tell everything to. I just went to the store with my crazy 2-year-old. I just let her have a fit. I kept moving on like I can't hear her. Good for you. As long as she's following behind, you don't leave her behind. But yeah, that's right. This was really cute. My daughter saw this, actually. She was laughing. She says, oh, you would have loved this. there was this family riding bikes, and they had like older kids, but then they had this little, probably 4 or 5 year old. She was screaming. She was so mad. The funny part was they were all riding along the road, and she kept pedaling as she's screaming. So she just kept screaming and crying, but she kept pedaling to keep up with the family. They weren't giving her any attention at all. It was just fantastic. Oh, what did I see? Oh, yeah, this was bad. I was parked just waiting for someone, and I was parked in my car, and this kid was about 5 or 6, and his mom, I could just tell she didn't know what she was doing. She was struggling with him. She kept trying to reason with him. He was trying to get him in the car. He picked up a rock and threw it at my car. And I looked at it later. There is a mark on the car, but it's tiny. But anyway, so she looked over at me, and I just said no. He couldn't hear me. I was inside. I just went like that. And the mother was instantly, she was hoping there was no one in the car. I think that's it. She wouldn't have done anything if she didn't see me, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, when I went like that, she looked, then she went like, oh, no, you don't do that. She put on a show, right? And I wasn't the least bit impressed. Anyway, she said, no, you don't do that. Remember, you go say you're sorry. And I'm like, oh, God, here we go, putting on the show. So anyway, he comes over, sorry. And I said, don't do it again. I didn't say that's okay. I never do that. I say, you don't do that again. And then he came back, and he's crying because the mother kept lecturing him. And so he started crying. She picked him up and coddled him. That's okay. I know you were sorry. And she kept looking over at me like, aren't I doing a good job? I'm thinking disaster, 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 disaster. It was a total train wreck. It was painful to watch. But I just, whatever. But yeah, talk about struggling. This poor mom, she just didn't have a clue what she was doing. It was painful to watch. But anyway. And she was coddling him. Good boy for throwing the rock. That's exactly what she was doing. Good boy for throwing that rock. Oh, it was agony watching. Oh, how do you handle a toddler who decides to hit you while you're ignoring the tantrum? Okay, then you just say no. And if they're having a tantrum, you just physically restrain them. So, but yeah, they're just having a tantrum. They're just nuts. They're going to hit. They're going to do whatever they can. So yeah, you just physically restrain them. Check out my tantrum course. I have some mini courses. One of them is, there's 2 different courses that might pertain to you. One is toddler tantrums. And if they hit during a tantrum, you deal with that differently than you do when they just hit because they're aggressive and they don't get their own way. Okay, so there's the toddler hitting course, and then there's the tantrum course. They both of them have hitting in them, but they're addressed differently. This is under or like 3 and under kind of thing, or just under 3. Oops, I got to get going. I got to move over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's the same. It's Bratbusters Parenting. Also check out the courses above and the coaching. It's all in the link above, and also my free behavior board. So you get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I'm really busy these days. I can't take everyone on for coaching, but look into it. And then if you really want to sign up, look into coaching first. And then if you really want to sign up, tell me the ages of your kids and the challenges you're facing, and I'll decide whether or not I can fit you in. Like, I can't take all teenagers and all or all toddlers. I try and mix up the ages. I got a lot of parents with teenagers right now. And that's a very full day for me because I have to think more with teenage stuff. So sometimes I'll get a whole bunch of clients. I don't think it through, and I'll have them all in one day. It's like, wow, because I specialize in teen crisis work. Not all parents with teenagers are dealing with crisis, but yeah, if I'm dealing with that, it's a heavy day for me. Anyway, I got to go. Thanks so much for joining me. Happy Mother's Day. Hope it's as lovely as mine is. And anyway, we'll talk soon. So check out the link above, and I'm going over to TikTok now. Happy parenting. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to have a sip. I'm thirsty. I'm hopping on my bike soon. That's only maybe a half-hour ride. Going to something. I live downtown, so I'm either walking or cycling. I don't drive very often. I can go through, might take me 2 or 3 or 4 months to go through a tank of gas. I think the longest I went on one tank of gas was, I think I went about a year. Yeah, I don't drive very often. Got great transit here in Vancouver. I do have a car. I just don't use it very often. Okay. Just waiting for people to turn up. Okay, this is from Suzanne on YouTube. Most people have a tipping point. I snap when I'm overwhelmed. I've been repairing this with a big cuddle and apologizing to toddler, explaining why I'm sorry. Am I dealt with this? No, they don't care about the apology. That's the therapy session stuff afterwards. So yeah, they don't care about that. Yeah. Check out if they're under the age of 3, the boot camp course isn't for you. Otherwise, just keep watching and, I don't know what else. I don't have any big general courses for toddlers. If they're 3 and over, the boot camp course might be a good fit. It helps you. It's all about you. It helps you get organized, helps you calm down because you know what to do. That's what, when I'm coaching, they say it's just nice to have a plan. They feel sort of taken care of, that someone else says, don't worry about that. Don't just focus on this. So yeah, I know it's tough. It's tough. Love your content, very insightful and really helpful. You're very welcome. I'm old. I've been around for a long time too. I'm in my 60s now. And, I've been teaching, I've been working with kids for 52 years and started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11. Like, who does that? I look back on that. Did I really do that? Yeah, I did. I was volunteering and I'd just go and ask, can I come and help out? And back in the day, that was 1971, and they would let me. And, but yeah, so I've been doing this forever. So it's taken me, I kind of always was good at this stuff, to be honest, though. And then they used to ask me, they said, how do you do that? The kids love being with you, but they're good with you. How do you do that? I didn't have the verbiage. I didn't have the experience to explain what I was doing. But really, I connect more than I correct. I was very good at connecting with children and bonding with them in their world, not my world, in their world. I don't ever explain things either. I just have fun with them. And then if they act out, then I pull back the fun a bit. That's all the leverage I have, So yeah, kids, their love language is fun. It's not these mini therapy sessions. It's not praise. Parents tend to overpraise and underplay. There's a lot of praising these. You're wonderful. You can do anything. And next thing you know, they're yelling at them and because the kids are acting out. Praise doesn't do much for kids. It's for you. Praise just doesn't do much for them. When I get, some of my clients are child psychologists, and there's 2 things that we always argue about. One is that praise gets good behavior. It does squat. Praise does not get good behavior. It's trash. It's ridiculous. And the other one is that tantrums should not be ignored because you should never ignore feelings and emotions, which is garbage because there's no way I would validate the feelings around not getting their own way when they know they're being ridiculous anyway. So yeah, there's no way. So yeah, we fight over that stuff. And I always say, don't argue with me until we're in the end of the 5th session, then we'll see. But they do try and argue with me up front. But yeah. But I say, I always think I win. Maybe they think they win too. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this because I think it's really important that parents do tend to overpraise and underplay. They tend to say, you're so wonderful, you're so special. You watch it a kid's face. Here's the difference. You say to a 5-year-old little boy, you're wonderful, you're special, I love you, I treasure you. You can do whatever you want. You're so special. Okay, I'm going to go do the dishes now. Watch his face. Now you say to that same kid, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? Watch his face. Which do you think is going to get a better connection with that kid? Which one do you think is going to raise his self-esteem? Is it the praise or the play? Does telling a child they're wonderful and special make them feel good about themselves? No. Does playing with them in their world and enjoying yourself when you're playing with them make them feel special? Does it increase their self-esteem? Yes. Think about it. Think about it. Parents tend to overpraise and underplay. How do you deal with hitting? If they're toddlers under the age of 3, check out my Toddlers Who Hit course. It's one of my mini courses. Check that out. It's in the link above. Yeah, you said children learn through play, validate them. I don't know what you mean by validate them. I don't know what you mean by that. And children do learn through play. And they learn not just through play though, but they also learn through observing. They don't learn this way, they learn this way. So observation is everything with children. That's why when you're a leader, you want to show them that you're accountable too. You want your children to be self-disciplining, like mine were at a very young age, because they saw me being self-disciplined. If I messed up, I apologized and I made it up to them. Oh, mom messed up, didn't she? I said I was going to do that. I forgot. Now I'm going to do this for you to make it up to you. They're more likely to be accountable. So they're watching you. Okay. So they do learn through play, but yes, they do, but more observation. They learn through observation. They feel good about themselves through play, though. That's the self-esteem. So children feel good about themselves when you play with them in their world and you enjoy yourself with them. Just think about it. You ever been with someone who laughs at everything you say and and they just love being with you? Think about it. Children are no different. Or you just watching them play in a playground. Oh, good for you. Wonderful. Good. Yeah, it's totally different. Doesn't do it for them. Someone said, I don't have the heart to sleep train, but I'm exhausted. Advice? Sleep train. As if they're a baby. If they are out of their beds and they're 2 and over around there, I do have a bedtime battles course. But if they're under that, you just sleep train. If they're in their cot, have to let them cry it out. You can go in there every 5 minutes. You're all right. And then go back out and let them cry. You'll be crying out in the hallway into a pillow too. I did it. It's horrible. What to do when a 6-year-old is rude and not listening? It just means you're not a leader. It means they don't respect you. You got to earn their respect. So that's all that says. Their behavior is a direct reflection of your parenting. That's all it is, which is good news. It means you can change that. You can only change yourself anyway. We're not fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. They are just reflecting your lack of leadership. That's all it is. When they look up to you and they respect you, my kids would have been humiliated to be rude around me. It just would have felt wrong because they respected me. And they just would have been embarrassed. So yeah, work on your leadership skills. Check out my boot camp course. That might be a good fit for you. So how do you do that? Become a leader. Check out the boot camp course. It takes 5 weeks. It's a big course. So yeah, it's not one quick answer. There's not one little, this is all you do. It's a whole process. And we start slow and we build up. So it's all paced out. It's a 5-week course. You can lengthen it by a week or 2, but never shorten it. It is very specifically paced out according to all my 17 years of parent coaching. I know how to pace things out. So yeah. If you've got 3 to 12-year-olds, that's the boot camp course. You can. The behavior board's completely free. Check that out. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. Someone asked me on here about the tipping point, and okay, Suzanne, did you not say that before we have to unreservedly apologize if we snap or shout? Put on the behavior board. That's a whole bunch of things I could say around that, by the way. So I could go on for about hours with that, by the way. If you're snapping at your kids and losing it and yelling, I could go on. I could do a whole speech on that. You don't want to hear it. It's a long one. Anyway, but go on the behavior board and you put down no yelling for you. That's always your rule. If you yell, no yelling is your consequence. There's your rule. If you yell, no yelling. So then your consequence is something nice for the kids. So if you yell at them, you have to do something nice for them. So that is your consequence. That's your apology. And eventually you'll hopefully stop yelling, because once you know how to do all this stuff, you don't need to yell anymore. You only yell because you don't know what else to do. You only yell because they don't respect you. You only yell because you haven't earned their respect. You got to work for it. Everyone blames their kids for not respecting them. I don't understand that. Like if kids were acting out under my care, and this is just kids I worked with, like they weren't even my kids. If I was working with them just for an hour or something, if they were acting out, I always went like this. What am I missing? What am I doing wrong? A leader looks to themselves, not to the kid. You don't blame the kids. You look to yourself. Think, what am I doing wrong? They're doing that for a reason. It's because I'm not a leader. I'm missing something here, right? Take the responsibility. They're just kids. Take the responsibility. So yeah, if they're acting out, look at yourself. We're not fixing kids. We're teaching parents here. I managed to get respect with hundreds of kids, teenagers, toddlers, everything in between. Was it I just got them on a good day? By the way, I was never handed easy kids. No one ever said to me, here's an easy one, Lisa. They always went, good luck with this one. So I always got all the difficult kids because I was good at, I was like a behavior mentor. So I was always good at connecting with and getting good behavior out of kids because I got their respect. I knew how to do it. I figured it out. And that's what I teach. Okay. So was it me or was it them? Did I just catch them all, those hundreds of kids on a good day? Or was it me? Is their behavior a direct reflection of the adult that they're with? You bet it is. So work on yourself. Okay, this one. What do you do when my kids are arguing in the back seat right now? Okay, I pull over and say, okay, can't get along. I'm gonna sit here for 5 minutes, and then just sit there and don't look at your phone. By the way, makes you look dismissive, like you don't know what you're doing, like you've forgotten that they're there. You want them to look at you looking out the window or something, and you're just ignoring them. The only way that works is if you're going somewhere they want to go. Okay, if they don't care where they're going, like if you're heading towards the dentist, they're going to be thrilled. So do a few trips, say, okay, we're going to go get ice cream now. As soon as they start to fight, you just pull over. I'm not driving if you're fighting. Start driving again. If they fight again, say, I'll tell you what, let's go home tonight. We'll maybe try again tomorrow because you were fighting. Do you think that's going to work? I would think so. Another thing that parents say to me, well, I've messed up my kids now. Um, is there any hope? You know, I specialize in troubled teenagers. I specialize in teen crisis work. There's always hope. You can always turn things around. Oftentimes I'm hired by someone with 3 and 4-year-olds. Is it too late? three and 4, are you kidding me? It gets harder when they're teenagers, for sure. The first 2 weeks in coaching, parents are often frustrated with me. Because they say, well, what about this? I say, we're nowhere near addressing that yet. We have to work on yourself right now. We're figuring stuff out. So the first week or two is just starting small, and it's me figuring stuff out, assessing the situation. Then we could get into the bigger stuff. But yeah, okay. I can't talk about the kid with the toileting issues. I do have answers for that, but I sometimes worry about getting cut. If I start talking about stuff like that, I can get cut out. This is rocket science. Yeah, it's absolutely not. It's just common sense, but only once you know it. Once you know it, you go, oh, this isn't rocket science. It's just common sense. But if you don't know it, it seems, it seems confusing. It's like anything, I think. But it isn't, it just makes sense after a while. You're teaching your children to be accountable by being accountable yourself. That's all you're doing. You have rules and consequences, and they have rules and consequences. You're just following through. It just works. It just does. Your advice helps so much in our home. Thank you. I don't know why I said him so much in that him. You're very welcome, Amanda. I love to hear that. That's why I do these lives. I love to hear that. I get a lot of feedback in coaching. Coaching is my favorite thing to do by far because I get all the feedback in coaching. But in the lives, I get some of that too, which it means a lot to me. That's why I keep turning up. It's a very rewarding job. I'm very, very grateful that I'm in imagine helping people for a living. Like, oh, it's wonderful. I don't sugarcoat anything, though. A lot of people would probably hate my style. I says it like it is. I say what you need to hear because I'm here not to be liked. I'm here to get your results. I want you to enjoy parenting as much as I did. It was the most fun I ever had in my whole life. It was the most joyful period of my life was parenting because I got respect when they were tiny and just sailed right through the teen years. I loved it. Loved it. Most fun I ever had. Okay, I got to get going. I've got to get on my bike. I got to be somewhere, and then I'm going out for dinner later. And I don't know how I'm going to stay awake because I've been up since so early this morning. Anyway, I'm excited because it's Mother's Day, right? So I hope you're all having a wonderful Mother's Day. Check out the link above. The sale is running until midnight, I think, tonight, my time. Check it out anyway. It's got a timer on it to tell you when it runs out. And anyway, and that's not on coaching. It's just on the courses. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Happy Mother's Day. I wish you all the best, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now.